Hi, both. Thanks for joining us today on our Business Gurus channel, where we will be discussing key business topics to help students grasp the most important elements of their course in preparation for their exams and future career. Let's get started.
Welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're looking at something really fundamental for business, especially small businesses or startups. It's limited liability.
Absolutely central, yes.
We've got some sources here that focus right in on limited liability, particularly for registered companies, thinking like a private limited company.
That's a common example, yeah.
And our goal, our mission really, is just to unpack what this means based only on this material we have. What does it mean for you, maybe as an owner, maybe just interacting with the business? What protection are we actually talking about?
It's a core concept. Understanding this really helps make sense of different business structures and, well, the risks involved.
Okay, so let's dig in. The sources mention these registered companies, the private limited company example, again, having this thing called limited liability. What does the material actually say this is? What does it do?
Well, the key idea highlighted is separation. It says that for these types of companies, the business is legally kind of its own thing, separate from the people who own it.
Right, a distinct legal entity. And the source gives a pretty stark example, doesn't it? Let's say the company gets sued for 10,000 pounds, I think it was.
Yes, that's the example.
So what happens then to the owners personally? What's the financial hit according to this?
Following that example, it's quite clear. If the company is sued for that 10,000 pounds, the owner's liability, their responsibility, is limited.
Limited to what exactly?
Limited to what they've invested.
Yeah.
So the money they put into the business initially, that amount is the ceiling for their personal loss from, business debts or lawsuits like that one.
And this is the really crucial part, I think. The source spells out what doesn't get touched, what's protected.
Exactly.
It says personal belongings are safe, and it even lists things like phones, laptops, even houses.
It lists those specific examples. That's the safeguard the material points to. It's not just business assets versus personal assets in theory. It's your actual stuff.
Yeah.
Your personal bank account, your home. They're shielded.
So beyond that initial investment, your personal financial world is, well, walled off from the business's problems.
That's the fundamental protection described here. You risk what you invest, but not necessarily everything else you own. It really underpins why someone might choose this structure. It encourages taking business risks, without betting the farm, literally.
Yeah, that makes sense. And looking briefly at the other terms listed in the sources, we see things like unlimited liability, sole trader, partnership, franchising.
Right. They're mentioned alongside.
It sort of puts limited liability in context, doesn't it? It shows it as one specific choice, seemingly with this big benefit of protection compared to whatever unlimited liability means.
Precisely. It frames limited liability as a distinct structural option with significant implications for personal risk.
So wrapping this up for you, the listener, the core message from these sources, if you're dealing with a business structured like a private limited company with limited liability.
Or thinking of setting one up.
Right. It means there's a legal separation. The business's debts are the business's debts. Your personal assets, your house, your savings, they're generally protected beyond the capital you've put into the company.
And that separation, thinking about those other terms like unlimited liability, it immediately makes you wonder, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, what if that wall isn't there? What happens if the business owner doesn't have that limited liability protection? What kind of personal risk are they taking on that? It really highlights how different business structures carry very different potential consequences for the owners. Something to think about.
A very important distinction indeed. Okay, that's our deep dive into limited liability based purely on the material we had today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks to both of you for joining us today. You've been listening to the Business Gurus. Let's now hand it over to you. What further questions do you have based on what we've discussed so far? Leave a comment and we'll get back to you right away. If you haven't already, hit that follow for more business tips.